Resident Evil 4 is one of those games that never left me. Not just because it's a masterpiece, but because it's tangled up with my own story. It wasn't just a game I played, it was my childhood, my downtime and my escape, and occasionally my nightmare fuel. Back in the day, I used to sit for hours watching Dad play. He'd be mowing through villagers, blasting through the castle, and I'd just sit there glued to the screen. I wasn't even touching the controller, but every time I watched him, the curiosity just kept building, like, one day that'll be me. And then one day, he wasn't around. I finally grabbed the controller, booted it up in my parents' bedroom on those old, like, 2000s TVs, and Mom was in the kitchen, Dad was at work, and Mom told me that, quote-unquote, I was too young for that. And I hit her with the legendary 5-year-old logic, no, I'm big enough. And then I remember just staring at the bleak, rotating main menu. I was hyped, I was scared, I was ready to conquer evil, or so I thought. I mashed my way through the main menu and started a new game. I couldn't read a single word on the screen because I was like 5. I didn't even know the alphabet yet. I don't even think I know it now, but that's besides the point. I was just mashing buttons, just experimenting, and I started a new game. And then I skipped all the cutscenes, I experimented through the controls, then I opened the inventory. And there it was, the shotgun. It was just sitting there. And for some reason, that image of the shotgun is engraved into my skull. Like, I cannot forget the day. And then I moved on a bit further, and you know the cutscene when the dude watches you through the window? And the music scared me so much, I panicked and I chickened out, I shut off the game. My big moment lasted about 2 minutes. Greatest survival horror victory of all my life. And of course, the game followed me outside the screen too. I'll never forget the nightmare I had about the house invasion scene with Lewis. It was me and a bunch of people like stuck in a house or barn, surrounded by ganados. They were just there and they set the whole place on fire. That one stuck with me. That's how deep this game dug into my little kid brain. And I wake up at like 3 AM and Mom was like, get your ass to bed, it's late. A lot of these games came from my aunt, who would often send me GameCube games every year or so. Sometimes she'd bring my cousin along, and even though he didn't speak my language that well, it didn't matter. We understood each other perfectly through this game. We'd take turns playing for hours every day of his holiday. When he died in game, I'd grab the controller, and when I died, it was his turn. That cycle went on, and honestly, those are some of my fondest gaming memories. As I got older, I finally started pushing further. I remember getting to the island, swapping to that second GameCube disc. Yeah, today's kids, they don't understand that kind of pain. The discs, they couldn't fit it in one disc, so they split it in two. And later on, I remember, then came the scene with the regenerators. Those creepy bastards chilled me to the bone. The music, the sound they made, the breathing, the shambling, it freaked me out. Same with the Novistadors. Those invisible sewer bugs. I was so freaked out, I had to turn the volume down just to get through like those sections. Dead silence was my only coping mechanism at the time. I was like 11, 12 maybe. And you gotta understand, this was before I even had a phone or Wi-Fi in my household. It didn't get like that until like 2016 or so. And RE4 was my entertainment, my distraction, my time killer. While other teenagers were on social media, I was in Spain shooting dynamite out of cultists' hands. These days, when I replay it, it hits very differently. I catch myself gawking at the tiniest little details, like particles in the air, some sort of droplets off a table, or the way Leon's footsteps change depending on what he's stepping on, like the rooftop here. I've squeezed this game so dry that noticing something new feels like I've just uncovered who Jack the Ripper was. Then I went even deeper. When I got the PC version on Steam like last year, I beat it twice in 2 sittings. And that's the definition of like addiction, my friends. I remember installing a mod called RE4 Trainer, which allows you to tweak the game in all sorts of ways, like enable cheats, enable no collision, change the laser pointer's colors, and you could also move the camera without moving Leon. And then came the Separate Ways DLC. I'd only ever watched Let's Plays of it before, so actually playing it felt like I've discovered a secret chapter that had been hiding from me for years. And Ada? Let's just say I was thirsting for some Ada action. I beat it in 1 sitting, twice, because once wasn't enough. And Resident Evil 4 isn't just a classic. For me, it's like a time capsule. First I was a spectator, then a terrified little player, and now someone still picking apart every corner of it. And after all these years, it still finds a way to pull me back in. Anyway, before I end this video, I've got a little announcement to make. I've been working on my own project with a friend. A video game. You probably heard it if you watched one of my previous videos. It will be a survival horror game, heavily inspired by the kind of atmosphere and tension that RE4 nailed. Most of the models are already done, and the demo just might be dropping on itch.io in a couple of months if we're lucky. And I'm not showing anything yet, because trust me, spoilers would ruin the impact. Once it's ready, you'll be the first to know. So if survival horror is your thing, keep an eye out. Who knows? Maybe in a few years, some kid will be watching their dad play it, and the cycle continues.